Police respond to crime. Who's going to fight the crime while it's being committed if the response is too late? Yo, what's good? It's Dr. Dunbar with the Black Timeline. Let me explain my approach to this channel. We're about to take things way back, from the dirt, raw. We'll work our way up the timeline up to current times. Many did not learn a lot of this in school. Maybe in college if you signed up for a class in it. I'm starting the timeline from the slave ships, but due to current events, I figured it would be a good time to touch on police brutality in blacks before we get started. Slave patrols, 1700s. Teams of white guards given the okay to enforce slave codes, also known as slave laws. Simply put, to keep slaves under control. Slaves were property, so they could not own property. Slaves could not congregate by themselves. There were movement restrictions and curfews. No reading, no writing, marriage restrictions. They punished slaves, caught runaways, and disrupted plans to run away. Black codes, also known as black laws. Mid-1800s, shortly after the Emancipation Proclamation when slaves were freed. Laws were now needed to suppress the free blacks. They consisted of working for low wage, no voting. Authorities were allowed to arrest blacks for minor violations and then force them to do involuntary labor. This was the start of convict leasing. Convict leasing is a system that allowed forced labor as punishment for crime. It targeted blacks. Jim Crow laws, late 1800s up to mid-1900s. Segregation separated the blacks from the whites. The blacks and the whites shared nothing. It denied blacks their civil rights. Police enforced black codes and Jim Crow laws. Violators often experienced police brutality. Police and the judicial system, the law, often looked the other way when blacks were being beaten and murdered. Today, blacks have a higher chance of being killed by police officers than whites. The task at hand is to restructure a system that was never for blacks. Progress has been made. Let's go over some of our rights. Amendments 1 through 10, the Bill of Rights. 1. Say what you want. Publish what you want. Gather and protest peacefully. Petition the government. Believe what religion you want. 2. Protect yourself, your loved ones, and your rights. My picks. Glock for conceal. Mossberg or Remington for home defense. AK-47 for war. 3. Speaking of war, when there is one, you do not need to house soldiers. 4. No unreasonable search or arrest. Shaky. Don't allow a search without a warrant. 5. You have the right to remain silent, so do that until you speak with a lawyer. Don't incriminate yourself. You should be read your Miranda rights. Take the 5th. And you cannot be prosecuted twice for the same crime. Also, the government cannot take your private property without fair compensation. 6. The right to a speedy and public trial. Shaky. 7. The right to a jury trial in civil matters of $20 or more. 8. No excessive bail or crucial punishment. Shaky. 9. People get fundamental rights not listed in the Constitution. 10. Balance of power between the government and the state. The federal government has only those powers specifically granted by the Constitution. Any rights not given to the government are given to the states and the people. This is a quick and simple rundown. There are always exceptions and limitations. Do your research, look over your state laws. Consult with a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. Subscribe.